All right, everyone, let's do another review video, this time on solving quadratic functions, okay? And the one thing I want to emphasize, as you'll see over the next couple videos, is that in upper level math, instead of relying on the quadratic formula as much, you will rely more on factoring, okay? But we will do some quadratic formula, don't get me wrong, and also you have to get used to those more extreme cases like where we have complex answers. But enough talk, let's get going here. So number 27, this one, you could use a quadratic formula, okay? But I'm pretty sure I can factor this one. Let's give it a try. If I take x times x, is that not x squared? For the 4, couldn't I do 4 times 1 to get the 4? And then to get that 5x in the middle, all I really need is a plus 4 with a plus 1. And we already know it equals 0. They told us so right there. And we already stumbled upon our answer, right? Right here, I know one of my roots, or zeros as we like to call it, okay, is negative 4. Because negative 4 plus 4 is 0. And right here, my second root is at negative 1. And which is probably just as important, guys, is not only did we solve it, but do you understand what it really means? If we look at the graph, notice our beautiful parabola right here that's already graphed, right? Well, here is my x-axis. Does it not cross right there at x equals negative 1? Does it not cross over here at x equals negative 4? And that's exactly what we got here. So pause the video if you need to. But please remember, guys, don't just focus on just the algebra and the magic answers you come up with. Know what those answers mean. Okay? Now one more. In the upper level math you guys are going to start doing next year, you're going to be doing more higher powers, okay? And here we have a typical example where we have an x4. But if you look carefully here, that's just an x squared. Sorry, I got interrupted there momentarily by my daughter. But anyways, notice the x squared right here. And what I'm going to do is try to factor this one, guys, with x squareds, right? And you've probably never done this before, but just be patient. Do you agree that x squared times x squared is my x4? And the 30, do you agree, is 6 times 5 is 30? And to get a plus 11, all I need to do is plus 6 plus 5. Notice here is my 6x squared. Here, in other words, is my 5x squared. Together, they're going to make that 11x squared term right there in the middle. I have it factored, right? And again, we already know it equals 0 because they told us right there. And so now we can actually solve this using the 0 property like we've always been doing. So right here, how do I make x squared plus 6 equal to 0? Well, that means x squared has to equal negative 6. Oh, when we take the square root, x is going to be the square root of 6i, isn't it? Plus or minus. Okay? So remember, when you take a square root of negative, guys, that's not ever going to be a real answer. It's going to be an imaginary complex or I number answer. Okay? And the same thing's going to happen with x squared plus 5, where we're going to end up with x squared plus 5 equal to 0, x squared equal to negative 5. When we take the square root, we got a square root of a negative, right? And that means x, you see, is going to be plus or minus square root of 5i. So we have all complex or imaginary answers there, right? Now, here's what's really important, though, guys. Now that you're on the verge of, again, trig pre-calc or intermediate math 3, okay, for some of you, know that here is the x-axis way down here, and notice the graph up here. More specifically, you're seeing the vertex of it. the graph actually does this, okay, right there, and it never crosses down here, does it? Because it does not cross, we already know it has imaginary answers. See, if it crossed, then we would have real answers. But when it does not cross, you know you have imaginary answers. And that's important to understand. When it doesn't cross the x-axis, you can't have real zeros. Therefore, what you have are imaginary answers. And that's what we have. We actually have 4 imaginary answers here. All right. So pause the video if you need to. And guys, hopefully you understood everything I talked about here. And notice how important factoring becomes later on for you guys in IM3 or Trig Pre-Calc, okay? I'll see you in class.